Competitive and Monopoly Markets by Janna and Serene. Microeconomics. Microeconomics is the study of how firms and households make decisions and interact in specific markets. Market extremes.
Competitive markets have so many buyers and sellers trading identical products that no one has any power over the price. That's why we call them price takers. Monopoly markets have one firm that is the only seller of a product without co-substitutes. They are price makers. Here's a graph of a competitive market. The marginal cost curve is how much the total cost changes when a firm makes one more unit. The marginal revenue curve is how much the total revenue changes with one more unit. It's horizontal because these firms are price takers and must always charge the market price. The average variable cost curve represents all the cost that depends on quantity averaged out per unit. Raw materials, for example. The average fixed cost curve is the difference between the average variable cost and the average total cost curves. It represents all the costs that do not depend on quantity, like rent. The average total cost curve is the sum of the average variable cost and average fixed cost curves. It represents how much a firm needs to pay to make one unit. The profit maximizing point is where the firm makes the most money that they can possibly make. In a competitive market, it is always where marginal cost equals marginal revenue. Here's a monopoly market graph. In a monopoly market, the marginal cost and average total cost curves are the same as in competitive markets. Also, the marginal revenue curve is downward sloping. Because they provide for the entire market, these firms have to charge along the demand curve at whatever price customers are willing to pay. Because there are a limited number of customers, the firm has to drop the price to sell more units. So in a monopoly, marginal revenue is always lower than price. Like in a competitive market, the monopoly's profit maximizing quantity is where marginal cost equals marginal revenue. But the price is where that quantity meets the demand curve. This is called a markup, and it means that monopolies charge more money and make less products than is best for society. Competitive versus monopoly. In competitive, marginal revenue equals price, and profit maximizing point is where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. In monopoly, marginal revenue is less than price, and price is on the demand curve. Example of a competitive market. I, Serene, could grow and sell purple flowers, but Janna could also decide to enter the market for purple flowers. Because there is free entry, eventually there are so many buyers and sellers that everyone is a price taker. Example of a monopoly market. Professor Bloxham invents a new product and gets a patent. This makes him a government-created monopoly seller in the market for that product. Because of that, he gets a charge along the demand curve for whatever people are willing to pay for it.
Thank you for watching. Bye. See you next time.
Yep, what she said.
Created using Powtoon.